Hello everybody, this is Erica Lynn, aka Erica Lynn MUA, and today I will be showing you how I created this look. This is my go-to glam when I'm going out to dinner with the fam, dinner on a date, having a family party. This is the go-to glam that I go for. It's not too much, but it's just enough. You're snatched, you've got natural coverage, but it's not saying, whoa, this girl's got a lot of makeup on. You know what I mean? So this is what I like to do when I want to look put together and I want to put a little bit more effort into my makeup, but I don't want it to be crazy. So I'm going to show you how to get this look and show you a lot of my tips and tricks that I love to use in my own makeup process along the way. So hopefully you can learn something great from this tutorial, from this get ready with me process, and also get to learn about me a little bit more, and so we can hang out. I love doing stuff like this for any potential clients that I have, so that way you can get a sense for my personality, we can meet before meeting, and it's just a great way for me to be able to show more of myself to you guys and to my future clients. I think that was good. I'm not gonna do that again. All right, let's get right into it. The most important thing when either I'm doing my makeup or I'm doing clients' makeup is just to make sure that your skin is nice and prepped. So this morning I washed my face and I put on a moisturizer. The moisturizer that I use personally, first of all, the products that I use for myself are very different than what I use on my clients, but I love this Dewy Day Cream. Let's see. I love this moisturizer. It's a Dewy Day Cream from the brand Dime, and I don't know about you guys, but I have become so crunchy. Like, I'm all into the non-toxic, the natural skincare, so that's what you're gonna see that I'll be using on myself. But my skin is smooth, it's cleansed, so I'm just going to make sure that it's moisturized again before I go right into the makeup. I also like to use a moisturizing toner, but because I know that I did that all on myself right before I got here, and all of my products go well with my makeup that I'll be putting on top of it, I'm not worried about any other products that I already have on my face. And I like to bring it down onto my neck just because I often bring my makeup down there, because as you can see, my chest is a different color than my face, and my neck too. These areas do not get as dark as the rest of my body. You can see that I have a tan from here, and we're different colors. So as a makeup artist on myself and on clients, I like to color match my face to my chest, and that helps everything to just look super cohesive. And you know, that's why sometimes you'll see that people use a darker foundation on the face, because you gotta match, especially in the summer. I also like to make sure that my lips are nice and prepped, so I'll be using this lip balm from the brand Primally Pure. This is another brand, again, this is a natural skincare brand. Dime is more non-toxic, Primally Pure is all natural products, and I am obsessed with this brand. I love, number one, their products, but I also love what they stand for. And when I can have a brand that I love what they stand for and what they advertise and just the meaning behind their brand as well as their products, that's someone that I will support till the day I die. So Primally Pure is a fave. And these lip balms are so good. They're only $6. It's literally all natural ingredients. Like, can you read this right here? Organic coconut oil, beeswax, cocoa butter, mango butter, tallow from grass-fed cows, orange oil, rosemary extract, non-GMO vitamin E. That's it. That's what's in it. Like, the most clean ingredients ever. Now that my skin is all prepped, including my lips, and I like to have that done while I'm doing the rest of my face, so that way at the end, when I get to the lips, they're all nice and moisturized and prepped and ready for the lip color and the product that I'm gonna be putting on top of it. I start with my eyebrows. I don't always do this. Sometimes it depends on my mood, to be honest, but today I'm gonna start with my eyebrows. I use the Benefit 24-hour brow setter, and I like this one because it kind of works as a brow lamination, and I just really get that product. So you can see I brush my eyebrows down first, and then I brush them up, really just getting the product in there, and then I go back and just really make sure that I am setting those brow hairs into place. Because personally, I have very annoying brow hairs, and I need to put in some sort of gel in order for them to stay in place. So then I'll also kind of use my finger to press it down, because I feel like you get a lot closer to the skin than what the brush is able to do. And then I go back in and I just shape the ends with it, and voila. And we're gonna fill in any sparse areas or any blankness when I go in with the color product. But for now, I'm just shaping them into place with this brow gel. Another reason that I like this brow gel is because I find that it dries down dry and it doesn't stay sticky. Unpopular opinion, I do not like the e.l.f. brow lamination gel. I know, a lot of people love it, but I only ever really used it on clients, and I feel like it stays wet. I feel like it stays so sticky, and then like powders just get in it, all this stuff gets in it. I just never found that I love the way that it fully dries down. So I have few products that I use on myself and on clients, not because I don't like the products that I use on my clients, but because it's just a very different process. Doing makeup on yourself is very different than doing your makeup on other people. Let me tell you right now. So this is what the brows look like after lamination. Cute, fun. I'm gonna go in with this Morphe eyebrow pencil, and I have the shade Chocolate Mousse. I don't go crazy filling my brows because I already have a pretty good shape and a pretty good base. So I just like to fill in any areas that have sparseness, as you can see right here. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I just use like a very light hand here. I don't go too heavy, and as you can see, I just rest my pinky on my face and then move the upper part of my hand to keep control. And I focus the movement in an upwards direction to kind of go with the angle of my brow hairs. And then when I get to the front part of my brow, I like to draw underneath the eyebrow and then flick up. So you're just adding more so the structure, and I go really light at the front. So I don't keep it like this. I'll literally go in and take one of my fingers and like blend it in. So that way it's not a harsh line, but so you still have that like definition there. So that's pretty much what I do for my brows. Here's the down one, and here's the one I didn't fill in yet. So now we're gonna fill in the other brow using the same technique. So there we are with the brows done. Now that I'm looking crazy and like I have eyebrows and the rest of the face isn't proportionate, we're gonna move on to the face. I have been loving this foundation, this stick foundation from the brand Basma. I am shade 35. And Jaclyn Hill, if you know me, you know I love Jaclyn Hill. Jaclyn Hill got me onto this foundation, and I absolutely love it. I really like it because, one, I feel like it's just so easy. It's just like a quick blend it in and you're done. It's so nice, but also the undertones of this are so great for neutral. I mean, probably all undertones, but I have neutral undertones. I'm not too cool and I'm not too warm. So this is so perfect for that neutral shade range and just matching my skin tone perfectly. I got a little bit of a tan, so I'm not sure if this is still gonna match perfectly, but you'll see what I mean. It like melts into the skin. Ready? Like you can barely tell that it's there. It's so good. It also makes me laugh whenever I put the stick foundation over these pores because you can see all of them. I'm a big pored girl, let me tell you. I do not use these kinds of foundations on clients because I would have to like put it on a palette, I have to put it on my hand, whereas on myself, I can just put it right on my face. So I like the stick foundation for personal use, nice and quick, nice and easy. Then I'm gonna be going in with my BK Beauty brushes. This is the Mini Contoured Foundation 109 brush, I believe. And let me tell you guys, I did not want to fall into the TikTok hype, social media hype, whatever the heck. First, look how nicely this is blending out. Do you see that? Like, so beautiful. It's such a natural skin-like finish. This brush is one of the things that helps blend it out, but also the product in and of itself. And I didn't want to fall into the hype over these brushes because they're expensive, okay? They are not cheap brushes. But I bought them, and I'm telling you, they truly are elite. They're so good. The density of them, the softness of them, they're incredible. And I've tried the dupes. I've gotten the dupes on Amazon. And you can make do. A good makeup artist can make do with any brushes. Well, for the most part, unless it's a really, really bad brush. But I'm saying like a general good quality brush, like you'll be fine. But these are just another level. So if I'm using these on clients, I save these for the bride and myself. So I'm gonna continue blending this out. As you can see, my blending motion, I tap it into the face. I'm not swiping because I don't wanna disturb the product too much. What I do is around the areas of my pores, I'll kind of swirl it. And I learned that trick from Wayne Goss, I believe. And it really just helps the pores to disappear per se. It just gets the product really in there. So you're not gonna be noticing your pores. So although I need to stop. Although makeup artists cannot get rid of pores or texture, we can definitely help minimize it as much as possible with the right techniques. Another thing that I do when I'm applying my foundation personally, I completely avoid my smile line area because I have bad smile lines and it helps to use less product, but I'm telling you, no matter what, it's gonna build up in there. So if I do accidentally get there, you'll see at the end, I wipe it off. I completely wipe it off and then I just make sure it still looks natural. But I try as much as possible to not put product in that area directly. Look at those nose pores. Oh my gosh. But look at that. When you use that little blending trick, this side, that side. Crazy. This is another area why it's super important to make sure you're exfoliated and moisturized beforehand because you tend to have a lot of dryness and patchiness on the nose. So you just wanna make sure that that area is nice and smooth, nice and exfoliated, no dead skin, no flakes or any of that. Make sure you have a smooth base ready for makeup. And I like to drag a little bit down on my neck just because I tend to have some discoloration underneath my jawline. I grew up with acne, so acne, scarring, current breakouts, whatever, it goes down there too. So for my own purposes, that's really where I like to keep it in terms of coverage for my foundation because I still have to go in with the other liquid products like the bronzer, the blush, and concealer. So that adds a lot of coverage in and of itself. So I don't like to keep it too heavy on the base. Here I am wiping away at those smile lines. So then I'll like take a little sponge and just kind of go over that area that I just wiped away. So there's no harshness or anything like that. But you'll see at the end, you won't even be able to tell that I wiped that off. And I'll even just go in just to buff everything. So cute. Now I'm gonna go in and start adding some of that warmth, some of that dimension back into the face. It's funny because I find a lot of people think that more natural makeup means less makeup, but think about it. If I kept it just here, like it's not natural for your face to just be like one color. You've gotta add some dimension back in. This is a Jaclyn Cosmetics bronzer. Honestly, this shade is a little bit warm for me, but I'm gonna use it anyway. Pro tip, if you are afraid of using too much product and too much pigment at once, take the product and use your hand as a palette or use an actual palette as a palette. And from there, you can take your brush and just put it in that product and then you can tap it off on the other part of your hand. So this gives you so much more control over what you're putting on your face rather than just directly striping that on your face and then blending it in. So I'm gonna focus this right on my cheekbone and just blending it up in this whole area. So I like to blend into the hairline and then I'm also gonna blend it down this way. So it's really important to analyze your own face. My cheekbones, you can see my structure, kind of goes like this. So I don't want to bring it down too far to droop my face, and we're going to clean everything up with concealer anyway. So just for the initial placement, this is just to have the outline, but I like to clean it up afterwards. So I'm focusing it on top of that cheekbone so I'm not dragging my face down, and we're going to blend upwards to really give that lift. And then I'm just following that cheekbone line. but you see right here, like it's not gonna stay muddy there. We're gonna clean that all up with all of our products later. And then I go onto the hairline. And I really like to kind of create a shape like this with the bronzer. So I bring it in like kind of above the brow. But again, I start the product darkest at the hairline and then I blend in with whatever is still on my brush towards the center of the face. I'm not gonna like go here and have a full brush of new product because that'll just have way too much at once. So here, I don't know if we can, let's do a little half and half. This side compared to this side. Crazy, we love. And then after I have like both sides done, I'll go to the nose. When I'm doing this on myself, I'm not worried about being too precise, especially just for an everyday. We're not doing like full glam, but we want to look put together. We're going out for dinner, we're going out for a date, we're going out for a family event. You want to look put together and like done. This is really the process that I'm gonna take. So I'll go right on the tip of the nose, and then I'm just gonna go on the side, and I really bring that into the brow bone. Take into consideration here, this is going to be sculpted out later when I add concealer and powder and everything like that. So right now, I'm just worried about getting the dimension on. Right now, I am using a dense brush. So if you don't have this exact brush, you wanna be using a brush that is more dense. Whenever you're using cream products, you want something that's more dense so that way it doesn't soak into the brush too much, and so that way it can press the product into your skin. Now I'm going to go in with a liquid blush. All of the writing on it is gone, but this is my favorite liquid blush. This is from Juvia's Place. This is the shade Soft Tulip. It's just such a good mix. It's not too pink. It's not too peachy, in my opinion. And what I always do with liquid blushes, because I feel like a lot of people are scared of these, same thing that I did with the bronzer, I put it on the back of my hand first. So that way I can like kind of just blend it out, create an even canvas with my finger, and then I take the brush and I just put it there first. So that way I have control over the product that's going on my face. That is so important, and one of my best tips as a makeup artist is to not place the product directly on your face. Put it somewhere else first, put it on your hand, and you'll see you just have so much more control over the amount of product. Look at that. And this is especially with something that's pigmented, like if you're using the Rare Beauty blushes, those are so pigmented, these are so pigmented, but don't be scared of it. This allows you to truly be able to control the amount of product and what you're using just by using a palette like your hand. So again, I place this above, but also on the cream bronzer. And I really kind of blend it up into underneath my eye. And this really lifts, for my face, I like to keep it over here. You get a different look if you focus it on the apples of your cheeks, but I find with my face shape that it gets muddy if I have product right here. Just because I have a much more narrow face, it makes more sense if I lift it back here than if I'm trying to create that roundness effect by putting it on my cheeks. So it's important to analyze your face, see what works, but for me, it works if I like place it up here and lift. So I put it all the way in here now with the intent of covering it up later and mending that and blending it together with the concealer. I'm not gonna keep it here because you can see how it looks muddy. It doesn't look right when I have the pigment of blush like going all the way to the inner corner here, personally on my face. So it really needs to be brightened up with that concealer. So then what I like to do, I like to take the blush and disperse it around my face as well. Because if you think about it, like you're not just gonna have a stripe of pink, it's gonna be all throughout the face. So I like to take this and also put it like a little bit on the temple up here. And really just bringing that color like all throughout. And then I also like to place it like on the center of the nose, tip of the nose, chin. Again, going in very lightly. This is a light hand, and I'll go over with the powder blush too, but it just creates that framework. And if you're wondering what is the point of putting on these base layers of cream if I'm just gonna go over it with powder, The purpose is dimension. Honestly, I was like, what is the point of doing all this and then just covering it back up with powder? Like, if you're just gonna be using powder, why don't you just use one or the other? But the thing is, the color lasts so much better and looks so much more natural and skin-like when you're using this cream or liquid layer first. If you're just using powders, you really do not get the dimension that you want, trust me. So now I'm gonna be using the Nude Sticks Concealer. I really like this one. I have the shade Nude 2. This is, again, I like it for my neutral undertones, and I feel like they do those shades really well. I've also been using so much less concealer recently. I, again, use my hand, you can see. Love using the hand for everything. Take the product from there, put it on another BK Beauty brush. This is the A506 brush. Love this brush so much. I kind of start right here on my face and then go up into the eye. And what that does is it doesn't allow a lot of product to sit in the creases under your eye. Because, I hate to break it to you, but no matter what, if you have eyes, if you're any age and you have creases, your concealer is gonna crease, okay? We can take a lot of steps to mitigate that creasing and to make it not look older. However, it's inevitable that you're gonna have a little bit of creasing going on right underneath. So I have just been using, not even only on myself, but on clients, using a lot less product. If you place a color corrector on first, I don't use it on myself all the time. I will use it on clients, but color corrector, very light amount of it, and then concealer, very light amount of it. And then we go in with the powders and everything, and it just really helps to get that brightness, but not have the cakiness. We don't like cakey. And you see I'm also bringing that on the side of my nose to sculpt. And this brush shape really helps with that. And then what I like to do is I like to create like a little bit of a wing with the concealer on my eye. I'll focus the concealer on the tip of the brush right here. And you can see that just blended out compared to this side. We're lifted, we're blended, we're sculpted. Super cute. Now I'll take a little bit more of that concealer and just sculpt other areas of my face. Put it on the chin, a little bit on the Cupid's bow. And just so you know, these aren't random areas that I'm choosing. These are areas that, one, you wanna bring lightness to, and two, they tend to either get worn off or they have more discoloration than other areas of the face. And then I'm gonna take a little bit of concealer and just clean up this area over here. I'm almost going like over the blush area. And then I'm gonna take that brush that I used the blush with, taking some more blush that's left on the back of my hand, and I'm just gonna add more pigment back. Beautiful. So you can see we just have a really healthy, fresh glow going on about the face. Not too much coverage. We're gonna mitigate this with powders. You can go in with the powders and really soften it, and you're still going to be able to see that dimension peeking through. Oh look, there's already creases. See that? Inevitable. I don't do a lot of eyeshadow. I will just put bronzer in my crease, but I literally got a lash lift and tint this morning. That's why this one's like looking a little funny. I really don't wanna put product around my eye, but what I am gonna do is just add a little bit of foundation for my eye, just right underneath the brow bone. And on eyes, I especially like to go in and blend it out with a sponge because that's very fine skin. You can see texture really easily there. So this really helps just pat everything in. This is a little bit high maintenance. So now we're gonna start powdering the face. This is honestly one of my favorite parts because I feel like it just brings everything together and you look beautiful. Powder is so important. All right, we're not making ourselves look cakey. Trust me, with the processes I show you, you're not gonna be cakey, but you need powder. Otherwise, all of this, it's not gonna stay. And don't worry, we can still get this skin-like finish with a great powder. So, I like to use a whole concoction of powders per se. I really enjoy these Sephora Micro Smooth powders. So, I'm a little bit high maintenance, and I use 2 shades because these have some pigment to them. So they're not just translucent powders. And I really like to use these to further snatch the face. This is more my shade, my base shade. And then I have 05 Porcelain. Oh, it says fair pink. I never noticed this to have a pink undertone. I really don't think it has a pink undertone. Maybe it does. Either way, I use this one to brighten, and I use this one to set as the base. So what I'll do is, sometimes I take a fluffy brush for this, but I've actually been enjoying taking either a powder puff or this more dense brush, which again is really meant for liquids and creams and everything, from BK Beauty. This is the 101 foundation brush, but I'll just go like this with that powder and start setting the face. I like to start on the jaw because it's gonna have the most product in that area, and then you can blend out, you can blend up. So it's important like where you place. But as you can see, that really softened the look of the creams and the liquids. And you can see how this really still keeps that skin-like finish, which is beautiful. I love that about these powders. You will get a little bit of a different look if you go in with the powder puff, but for now, I'm gonna be doing that a little bit afterwards. For now, I'm just starting it there. All over the, I need to stop talking when I'm doing my throat. All over the face, pressed powder to set. I love this Huda Beauty loose powder. These are so good. This is the Easy Bake. I use the shade Pound Cake. I could use a lighter shade, honestly, but I'll show you my under eye setting technique. So first, see all these creases? We're gonna tap those out. So I go in with my finger and I'm tapping it out. Then I'll take a fluffy brush, something with a top like this. You can see it has a nice dome shaped, and this fits underneath the eye well. So I'm gonna be taking my lighter pressed powder from the Sephora collection, going to be getting that all on the top, tapping that onto my hand for the excess product, and then just going underneath my eye with that. The reason why I do this before the loose powder is because a lot of times the concealer can be too wet with placing a loose powder on top of just the concealer directly, and it can lead to patchiness. So I like to smooth out that area with a lighter coverage, more of a skin finish powder first before I go in with that more drying loose powder. Loose powder, this is what is going to make your under eyes almost crease proof. So I'm going to take my powder puff, get that product on there. We don't want it to look like that because then it's gonna apply patchy. So we rub it in onto the back, the palm of our hand, the back of our hand, whatever. I've gotten used to using the palm of my hand because I find that it's a lot harder to remove on the back of my hand, and then it would dry out that skin faster. Whereas the skin on your palm is not the same. Tapping that out with the finger, the warmth of your finger really helps to tap out those cream products. And I'm gonna continue looking up so there's no creasing and applying that loose powder, pressing that into the skin underneath the eye. I also like to go here because I get a lot of creasing there. I'm gonna just see right here, wing it out. Focusing the product on the edge of the puff. I'm gonna wing out that eye. And now for the top of my eye too, where I set it with, or where I put some foundation and coverage on, I'm gonna clear that off and I'm gonna set that with the loose powder, because if you just use a pressed powder, you're still gonna crease. The loose powder, because of the ingredients in it, it doesn't have an agent that's kind of like a liquid agent that's keeping it pressed, and that because it's loose, that's what really helps it to lock everything in. Okay, so we're just gonna lightly press anything else around any other areas that I get particularly oily in. Even if you don't have oily skin though, the same process of powder underneath the eyes definitely applies. You just don't need to put the loose powder all over your face. So cute. So now that we're all powdered up, you don't need to keep it on there for too long. You don't need to like bake. You can, but I'm just going to clean it up from the eyelid, from the top of the cheek. You can see how the powders really muted the look of the creams that we had underneath, but you can still see that dimension peeping through. So that's what I meant. That's why those creams are still important to give you that framework and that look, but I don't know why I said but. can edit that out. I'm just gonna keep a little bit of that product still underneath the eyes. You can see it. It's not really baking per se, but it's there. Now we're gonna be going in with our powder bronzers. I'm using this one from Tarte. This is Park Ave Princess, and it's just a good undertone for my neutral skin. It really gives a nice natural bronze to the face. And I'm just placing that in all of the areas where I placed the cream bronzer, and it's really going to make that pop and stand out again. But this time I'm using a fluffy brush. This is a blush brush. I got this forever ago, like at Macy's. I think when I was 14 years old, so like 13 years ago. And same thing, I'm pressing this, not swiping. That's super important now because we don't want to disturb the makeup that we've already put on our face. So again, blending upwards, focusing upwards and back towards the hairline. You can see the difference it makes already. Not a lot of product. Bring some of that down below, onto the neck. Now, this is one of my favorite things. I don't use eyeshadow on myself as much. Maybe we'll get back into it if the 2016 makeup starts trending again, as it is. However, we're not going all out. We're not the center of attention kind of look, you know? But you still want dimension because you can see I have dimension now in my face, but the eyes are kind of falling flat. I'm dipping that in my bronzer, and I'm just gonna put that in the crease of my eye. Not being too precise here, because again, it's not too much pigment, and I'm gonna focus it in the crease and then winging whatever product that I have left out like this, towards the temple. I also want to bring that on the inside here of my brow bone and use that to define the nose. Again, barely any product on the brush, but it's just really mending that together. You can see the difference that the eyeshadow created on this eye versus this eye. It's much more lifted and it just gives it a more open look, more cohesive with the rest of the face. Now I'm gonna do some powder blush. So this is the Fenty Beauty. Look how cool this packaging is. You see that? Isn't that sick? This is the Fenty Beauty. This is from last year. It's the Juicy Peach Hot Cheeks Blush Lighter. And I personally like it. The finish of it is nice and sheeny. It's got a nice sheen, so it's like doing a highlighter and a blush at once. Thus a blush lighter. Focusing this in the same areas that I focused the liquid blush. Oh, so pretty. Chin, temple, more like forehead. I'll even go like on my eyes with this. Taking the big old fluffy brush and just putting it on the eyes. Okay, now I'm gonna wipe away that powder that I have there. Usually I'll take a darker brown eyeshadow to define the lower lash line, but I don't have it on me right now, so I'm just gonna take my bronzer. What I will do, actually, sometimes, maybe I'll take a little bit of my brow pencil, ever so slightly, wiggling it on the lashes of the lower lash line. Do you see how that added the slightest bit of dimension? Just using bronzer on a fluffy brush and the eyebrow pencil. Makeup is fun when you don't really treat it as there being many rules. And using what you have. You know, what you have on you, you can make do. You can use for multiple purposes. I'm really trying not to touch my lashes too much today because of the lash lift and tint that I got done on it. Oh my gosh, that was the most hideous face ever. I need to be cognizant that I'm filming. Now, I'm gonna show you how I snatch the face using powder. So I'm gonna be using that lighter shade of the Sephora Micro Smooth powder. And I'm gonna use a powder puff here. So now that I have that eyeshadow on and the blush and stuff again, this is gonna be like what we did with the concealer of just really shaping that up. We're going in the same area as before, pressing it in, really focusing it underneath the eye, side of the nose, snatching it. Then I'm gonna make sure there's some on the edge of the puff. Lift. I'm telling you, this makes a difference. You just also wanna make sure, analyze your face in between, make sure that the lines that you're creating are even on both sides. And the reason why I will take my fluffy brush and take the product off of the cheek area is because I don't want there to be too much brightness added onto there. I want the snatchness and brightness to be happening right underneath the eye here on the side of the nose where I placed the most of that product. And then I'm gonna be also taking a little bit of that underneath the cheekbone area right over here. So we're gonna go like this. And I'm not gonna bring it all the way in just because I don't want too much of a harsh difference in color all the way out. Y'all see how snatched we look? Crazy. And obviously I'm not gonna keep it like this, but I am gonna hold it here. And in the meantime, I'm gonna do the lips. So our lips are nice and moisturized from the product, the lip balm that I've had on, and that has been marinating my lips this entire makeup process. So now what I'm gonna do to prepare my lips for the color is I'm actually going, it's nice that I have powder on it because I like to powder my lips a little bit before I put on a lip liner. That helps lock it in. So I'm just gonna go like this, just a little bit, and use the powder puff to put that powder right over the lip line. And then I'm gonna line the lips. This is also something I never used to do. I never used to line my lips, and now I look back and think about how crazy that was. You'll never catch me not lining my lips. I love this color from NYX. This is the NYX Suede Lip Liner. I like the suede line and the Line Loud. There's one of the lines that I'm not a fan of. This one I love, and this is the shade Los Angeles. I don't really hear anyone talking about this shade, but it is so good, especially if you have a skin tone like mine, incredible. So I like to start lining my lips. I also like to use a little powder puff on my finger just to like have it rest. Sometimes I'll start from the corner of my mouth, and I don't really overline. I don't overline on the edges. I overline towards the middle. Otherwise you're gonna look like you have fish lips. Kind of when it gets to this area, that's when I start to go above my natural lip line. Cute. Then for the lower lip, I'll start in the middle and I overline in the middle here. Love. Then I like to use the lip liner to color in onto the lip. A trick is kind of doing like a boat technique here, going doo 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 doo. I like to have a little bit of a Cupid's bow. Some people don't. It just helps give the appearance of full lips. So I'll pretty much color in my entire lip with that lip liner. Look how pretty this color is. So gorgeous. And if I want to make it a little bit more crisp, I will take a brush, like a flat paddle brush, like this, and I'll use that with concealer, just on the outer parts. I'll do that a little bit. You don't want to go heavy here. So you can see that just adds that extra level of crispness. Pro tip. We're taking the powder puff and we're going to set the lip liner. Let me tell you, this helps so much to make that last. You can see obviously it makes the color a little bit less vibrant, but then you can go over it again. But having that base with the powder, locking it in, oh my gosh. Truly will make your lip liner indestructible. That's not 100% true, but you know what I mean. I'm going to take one of my favorite lipsticks ever. This is the MAC, I think it's like a satin, oh, it's a luster glass lipstick in the shade Sellout. So pretty. It is just a gorgeous shade, and I love, like, look how pretty that is. I love lip gloss, but I don't always like to wear it, if you know what I mean. It adds the most beautiful sheen, and it's just such a pretty color. Ugh, stunning. I honestly might use the darker powder to wipe it out. I know, a little counterintuitive. But we gotta trust the process, folks. Look at that. Look at that. So at this step of the makeup process, this is when you analyze the whole face and see where you might need more, where you might want to pull back on, anywhere that you want to adjust. So for me, I want more blush. Again, literally always disappears. Everything in this video is just showing that I'm such an OG Jaclyn fan. Does anyone remember this palette? This is like this Champagne Pop face palette. I remember being in gym in 2015 as a junior in high school and stepping out of gym so I could buy this palette. So this is old, okay? I know it's old, but you know what? It's my own makeup and it still works amazing, so we're gonna use it. So gorgeous. Okay, now I'm gonna highlight using the same palette. So I'm gonna use a bigger fluffy brush, and I like to make sure I wipe it off on the back of my hand so there's not too much product, so I'm not getting like a targeted highlight. We're trying to create a nice glow on the cheeks. I already have a glow going on with the blushes that I used, but this is just to further create that glow, and I don't want it to be like a beam in one spot, you know what I mean? So the fluffier the brush, the more luck you're gonna have in achieving that goal. Cupid's bow. Get that right underneath the brow bone. Y'all, I love, love, love a brow bone highlight. No one can ever take that away from me. Now what we're gonna do, décolleté body glow. I'm gonna actually take, where's my spray? Okay, I'm gonna spray first. This is just the Milani Make It Last setting spray. I'm gonna spray that on my décolleté. Okay. I'm gonna have a little bit of an off the shoulder moment here. I typically like to have a really big fluffy brush to do this, but I don't have that right now. So I might just use this brush. I'm gonna dip into these big highlights here. And we're just gonna literally put it all over our chest to give ourselves a glow. I've been using powders for body glow instead of liquids, and I gotta tell you, I'm a big fan. I feel like it lasts so much longer and it doesn't transfer onto your clothes. And doing a body glow in the summer, let me tell you, it's one of the reasons that I like summer. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of a targeted approach right on the collarbones. Gonna pop them out. And then I like to take my beauty sponge, dip that into the highlighter, put it on the shoulder. Ugh, come on. Look at that glow, are you kidding? Being able to do body glow is like one of the reasons that I love summer. It's like, let me wear a cute little top all the time where I can show my décolleté and my shiny shoulder. Come on. Also worth noting, I would usually do mascara. I would do all the things to just make this look pop that much more, but I just got a lash lift done. So we're not gonna do that today. We're just gonna let the lashes speak for themselves. I mean, they look great, so we're not gonna mess with them. One more finishing touch of adding a little bit more bronzer underneath the line here, the lash line. Lower lash line. And now I'm gonna set the face. I'm gonna make sure I don't get my lashes in it. That'll be so bad. What I'm gonna do for like the nose, under eye area is I'm gonna take my sponge and I'm going to spray it with the setting spray. Make sure it's not too wet by feeling it on the back of my hand. And then I'm gonna set the nose region just like that. This is also a great trick just for giving that skin-like finish back to your face in general. And I'm not using hard pressure here. I'm just lightly tapping this over the skin. So, this is the final look. You can see how the skin, you saw how many powders I used. I used so many powders, but it still looks like skin. There's a lot of tips and tricks with sprays, with using a sponge, with using the proper products that you can just get that life back into your skin, and it's gonna wear beautifully throughout the day, and it's not gonna be too much. That's it. That is my go-to glam minus the mascara. Just nice and glowy, snatched, and elevated. That's what we all want to do, right? Look at the shoulder. Look at the shoulder. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you got to learn about me a little bit more, get a sense for my personality and my vibe, and just tips and tricks that I love to use when I'm doing my own makeup. So thank you so much for watching and hanging out with me today. Bye!